Good morning, everyone. I am Joana Fortes from LNEC, and I work at the Ports and Maritime Structure Division of the Hydraulics and Environmental Department of the National Laboratory for Civil Engineering. I am here because I am substituting my colleague Eric Didier, who have prepared everything for this session, but unfortunately he went sick. I am the chair of this session entitled Research and Strategies 2, and we will have 3 speakers. The first speaker is Professor Christina Venke, and she is the CAO of IWW Research Water Center, and currently she is the chair of the Aqua Research Collaboration. Her interests are sustainable development, water resource, environment, and others related. Now she is going to talk about research and strategies of the Aqua Research Collaboration. Thank you very much.
Okay, so sorry to correct you, but I'm not a professor, so simply doctor. But never mind. So I'm presenting here on behalf of the board of ARC, the Aqua Research Collaboration, which is a huge honor. I will tell you in this presentation, to give you a little bit of introduction to ARC, because maybe some of you didn't get the chance to get in contact with us before. I will tell you a little bit of the ARC research priorities and as well present to you some project examples and our future perspectives with regards to floods, extreme events, and water scarcity, for what in our view are the main topics to tackle for research. So, what is ARC? There was a reason for it. I think these grand challenges, they apply to all of us, but for us as in research institutions, they are really crucial because these are the problems that we are facing in practice at the water supply level and also wastewater level. And these were the challenges we see which occur across whole Europe. So, the huge issue is that we have really scattered EU research infrastructures. So why don't we combine our efforts when we all are facing the same problems or similar problems? This was the idea of ARC, the Aqua Research Collaboration. So the nice thing is that when I talk about the history of ARC, we come back to Lisbon in 2010. Because this was the place where ARC was founded on the 29th of January. So you see here plenty of people. I will tell you a little bit more about who these are. But what was the idea of ARC? So combining all the efforts of the national research agencies and national research institutes to provide water services to water suppliers and wastewater companies. So ARC is basically based on 3 pillars. So the first pillar is about defining common goals, common strategies that are valid for Europe as a whole. The second thing is about doing joint programs and projects to succeed in tackle those challenges that are highlighted. And the third part is about, transnational cooperation. The cooperation between institutes to do capacity building within the institutes, but also for others outside the ARC collaboration. So, who is ARC? Indeed, it's 6 institutes from across Europe. So, to begin here, it's LNEC, of course, who is a member of the ARC. The second is SEDAQUA in Spain, so I will move a little bit from west to east across Europe. Another one is KWR, the Water Cycle Research Institute in Netherlands. It's SINTEF in Norway, and another Norwegian partner is the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, NTNU, and last but not least, IWW, which I am representing, so we are in Germany located. So what are we doing within ARC? We are doing projects, and we are talking about research priorities. So we have defined for ourselves 4 priorities, but to be honest, it's only 3, because the last one you can see on the bottom right, it's future challenges we cannot foresee right now, and these are happening every day, so there's plenty to do. But with regards to the topics of this conference, there are 2 topics and research priorities that ARC defined itself that are quite of interest. So, for example, the low impact and resilient water systems, and the aspect of serving the society and protecting the environment. These are 2 things closely linked to floodings, water scarcity, and also extreme events. So what we see as challenges is developing new approaches in risk and crisis management within the water sector, developing new technologies and tools for stormwater management. Nature-based solutions, I will give an example later on based on a project, what that means. Demand and resource forecasting tools, we heard several times about this in the session before about flooding, that this is of really importance. And last but not least, also trying to identify strategies for cities, how to adapt to those threats they are facing. As said, I would like to provide you with some little more insights, because research strategies are always a little bit high level, and showing you some project examples that we did in the past and that we are currently doing is quite nice, I think. So the first one is we did some quite time ago, but as you can see from the conference today, it's still very actual, and aged quite well, because the EU Plus project was about transitioning urban water services for tomorrow. So what we did here is developing a road mapping approach, for example. So of course there are plenty more results done in this project, but this road mapping aspect was a really crucial point of this. So I think this is one thing that every city and every actor should apply, because you cannot prepare if you don't know what you want to prepare for and what the future picture of your water system should look like in the end. So it's based on 4 steps. The first thing is a little scoping on whom to involve in this process. The second thing is doing a forecasting. So you are looking very much in the future and defining what's the target that you want to achieve. And of course, then you need to look back on what you want to do in the next years, in the next months, to achieve those goals. And the next thing after that, the 4th step, of course, you need to disseminate and distribute the roadmap and get it into the practice, because there are costs occurring and so on, and you need to be prepared for that as well. So this is a nice approach. All the projects I'm presenting here, of course, you can have a look at the website to see for more results. Second thing is a project which I think is quite interesting, because it's quite complementary to those informations we got from the conference until now, because in the EU DESINF project we focus very much on ecosystem services, and to be honest, this is a wording that I missed in this conference a little bit, because we are very much talking about technologies, about tools to forecast and so on, but we are not talking that much, or have not been that much talking about nature-based solutions and the ecosystem services we want to promote with these solutions. So what we did in this project jointly as ARC is to demonstrate how ecosystem services could be enabling innovation in the water sector. So we developed a framework for ecosystem service assessment and to assess the impact of new technologies to those ecosystem services, because especially with regards to floods and droughts, we need to think about how to get the ecosystem services back to its near natural status, because to be honest, nature did a quite well job until some anthropogenic threats occurred, and we got a little bit off balance. So if you are not familiar with the ecosystem service approach, for example, the regulatory services like flood protection and so on are included in this, and there are other aspects of provisioning services like drinking water or surface water provision, which are also included. So this is an overarching framework, the ecosystem service approach, and this DESIN ESS evaluation framework is a very practical approach on how to assess the ecosystem services impact in your location. We did this on, we applied this tool and this framework on the example of 6 different case studies across Europe, and you can see from the examples over the right that from the city of Aarhus and its adaptation measures back to Athens to Hofselva, a very small river in Norway, there are different examples on different scales, which are really inspiring, I think. So also here, just quick note, if you're interested, please have a look at the website. Last but not least, Marcel, we already heard about this project here. It's about managed aquifer recharge. So this is why I will not spend too many words about it. It was simply about demonstrating different technologies for managed aquifer recharge in different case studies. So here, for example, a case study in Italy, but there were several others included. And we heard yesterday from the discussion within the water scarcity roundtable that, of course, managed aquifer recharge is one of the solutions to follow in many regions to tackle those issues. Last project I want to present is the Be Water Smart project. This is a project we are currently jointly working on, and it's about, how the title of it says directly, working on a water smart society, and we want the societies to be water smart. What does water smartness mean? It means, of course, that water is used in the right way, in a responsible way, and that the society also recognizes the value of water and how they should deal with it, and all the topics attached to that. So what we are doing there precisely is also, besides of developing an assessment framework, testing and developing over 33 new technologies and digital tools to assess water cycles, to assess rural water cycles, and for water reuse fit for purpose. So this is a really broad project, and if you are interested in those technologies, please also have a look. I forgot to include it here, but of course, please have a look at the Water Europe Marketplace, which is a platform from Water Europe where all these technologies are illustrated, not only from Be Water Smart, but also from the 6 sister projects. So over 100 different technologies are placed over there. Last, I wanted to focus a little bit on future perspectives, and I divided it between water scarcity and floods and extreme events. So with regards to water scarcity, these are results that we prepared in a joint workshop, to be honest, last week, directly before this conference. So this is really fresh, but I think it quite well reflects the discussion in this conference also so far. So what we as ARC see as future perspectives on water scarcity is that, of course, we need to have water reuse in some aspects. And there are several, as I said yesterday already, I think that there are several technologies already available, but we need to have some sort of paradigm shift. So water reuse needs to be the new normal in all countries, in all situations, and not something very special, risky, and whatever. We talked yesterday already about governance and finance, and also about the risk and public perception, the public perception of risk and the risks in general. So these are also topics we need to still clarify. And the last thing, also a very good research priority, I think, for the next years will be about defining the right consider identifying this case-specific optimum between centralized and decentralized solutions, because in the end, of course, also with regards to water reuse, we cannot have those very much decentralized solutions only. We also need to think about larger applications. Besides of water reuse, of course, other natural resources that are currently untapped should be also considered. We need, this is also a point that came up yesterday, so sorry for repeating that right now, but we need to consider the environmental water demands that we are having. These are sometimes out of focus, but a very crucial aspect, even with regard, and especially with regards to the ecosystem services. And of course, there are other aspects in special regions, like also water transfer between regions. For example, in Germany, it is very usual that you transfer water from one region to another. In other countries, it's not that usual, as I heard. So this is also something where we can learn from each other, I think, internationally, about the different experiences with that, because of course there are benefits but also disadvantages attached to this. With regards to floods and extreme events, only 3 points that I want to highlight here. One thing that is currently out of focus a little bit in research strategies is the investigation of extreme short-term events, because extreme short-term events is something that is sometimes neglected as, okay, it occurred, but this is nothing special, we cannot explain it. But sometimes these extreme short-term events, they could also be a hint of future developments. And we need to be better, in our view, in recognizing the tipping points for changes. So not that we recognize the flood as it is. We also have prediction tools for that. But there are some characterizing parameters and some effects. As said, there are tipping points where we could also recognize that there will be something changing and something happening in the future. Last point that was also very much discussed before, and from a German experience also with the Ahrtal, I can only emphasize this, that we need to prepare for our systems for catastrophic events. And with the systems, I don't mean the technical systems, but also the people attached to it. Not only the public, but also the personnel at the water supply and wastewater networks, because it's only natural that at a catastrophe, you are tending to care for your own family at first, which is right, but you need to think about there needs to be someone at the wastewater plant and the water treatment system as well. So, and this is something, a lesson learned that I heard also in a conference last week about the Ahrtal catastrophe, where they said, please think about really the extreme cases of extreme events. Because if you don't consider that as possible and as a realistic case, you will not be prepared. And as it was said before, when the catastrophe occurs, then you have no time to think about it. So please, this is also some sort of take-home message. Prepare your systems and prepare yourself. And with this, I'd like to end. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Christina. Is there any question? Yes, please, Nabella.
I'd like to ask you a question. In your future perspectives, you talked about the need to maintain water flows for ecosystem preservation. We have been talking about storing water to maintain water available for drinking purposes. We have been talking about reclaiming water from wastewater treatment plants. And at the same time, we have climate change impacting on our river flows. How serious do you think this problem may be when we already have some issues regarding the discharge of the dams to maintain the ecosystems downstream? When we add all of these reclamations of water, how serious do you think this can be for ecosystem preservation? And how do you think we can tackle this problem, and how we can be addressed research to support our end users to take the right decisions?
Well, of course, we were talking very much about reclaimed water for service water provision and so on. But of course, this is also a potential use to use it for sustaining and stabilizing our ecosystem services and services. So this is completely out of question from my side. To be honest, I don't know if I got your second part of the question correctly. So maybe you could repeat. Or?
My issue is that we have a lot of demands for water, and most of the time the ecosystem's preservation tends to be forgotten, in particular when we have at stake maintaining good human quality of life versus ecosystem. So my issue is that how can we tackle this problem at the regulatory level, at the EU level, so that this is part of the game, part of the equations that we need to solve to address water management in a global way.
Yeah, thank you very much for repeating your question. So in my view, of course, we had this point about what's the role of research and what's the role of us as a research for the society. So in my view, we are the data providers in the end. So we should give this overview about and the decision support to those taking the decisions. It's not that I'm saying the researchers should take this decision. We heard from several people here, also from the audience, that this is quite complex. But in the end, we need to have transparencies about those conflicting interests that we are facing. And we need to also highlight the impact of not taking action for some parts of the society. And yeah, I think this is it.
Well, Christina, thank you for your presentation. We have a lot of European projects. We developed a lot of decision-making tools. Unfortunately, difficult to implement and practice. But my question is, why the research in the European level is not focused on a very important issues, technical issue related to health problems? I'm thinking about drinking water, because in Europe, drinking water becomes to be more and more polluted with different macropollutants, pesticides, you know, but we have a lot of cases. Unfortunately, it's forbidden to communicate. We have only few scandals in different countries, in Switzerland and France. I'm not aware of Portugal, but my practical experience said that when we have such data, it's forbidden to communicate. My question is, we have not now technologies to treat correctly drinking water with such contamination. So our population is drinking non-potable water if we put this very extensive analysis, because we have not methods for broad spectrum analysis of organic macropollutant. My question is, do you need, because you have a very good experience across Europe, that we need such kind of subject to be put in order for funding in European level, because it's European problem, it's not only regional or something else.
Yeah, thank you very much for highlighting this point. So I can only agree with you. Of course, it's a matter that it's valid for across whole Europe, and we are sometimes facing this perception issue at some level. Which is quite difficult, that people don't really see that natural groundwater resources are sometimes even more polluted than reclaimed water. And for example, so I'm living in the Ruhrgebiet, and to be honest, the Ruhrgebiet is a reclaimed water catchment in its total, because we are doing bank filtration over there, and so in the end it's also some kind of reuse if the wastewater is diluted to the rivers beforehand.
Just to add on both issues. The first one regarding the environmental flows. that is to quantify the environmental flow for each stream, water stream, it's really important. Yesterday, when we analyzed, for instance, the water exploitation index plus, and I was talking later with Rodrigo, the most difficult part to compute is exactly the minus that we have in the denominator regarding the ecological flows. And very often, when we do not know about it, we use 20% of the renewable water. And it depends on it's site specific. It depends on the water stream, whether it's 20% or less or more than that. So we should take our colleagues from ecology and from water science, so to jointly work with us on that. That's for sure. Regarding the water, the drinking water quality, you're right. I think Cristina said what I was trying to highlight. That is, we really, for instance, when it comes now risk assessment, it's very, very focused on water reuse, and reclaimed water will be the most monitored, controlled product that we will be having. Regarding drinking water, our policy and regulation, it's now evolving so much in terms of the European, for instance, in terms of the new European directive, but only on risk assessment, monitoring. Now we have to do toxicity, everything. But then when it comes to the money to implement the solutions, to have the water safe, then it's another story. And membranes are always, and membranes and adsorption and advanced oxidation process are always too expensive. So again, we need to control the water losses, recover the money that we are losing on the water halfly or partially treated, to recover the energy that we are spending in a stupid way. And if we put that money into proper and fit-for-purpose treatment, then we will be, for sure, much more safer. And then we can decrease the costs of monitoring, because we do need data, and we do need to monitor, but we do need money to treat. Otherwise, we will be always finding non-compliances. So, to plan.
Thank you.
We need to move forward, but anyway, I'd like just to make another comment that is not related to the contents itself, but is to ARC and to importance of partnerships and the partnerships in research. So this coalition, this collaboration started formally in 2010, but in fact many of us started collaborating before that, with the projects such as KRW, KRS, and others before that. And so it has been so beneficial, because we now, when we go together for a project, the likelihood of success is much higher than if it is individually, because we know each other, we complement each other, we have this opportunity for discussing, for exchanging, for challenging and inspiring each other. Last week's workshop showed that very clearly. So what I can say is that it's important to all of us really to work in partnerships, in really to work together and to learn for each other. I like just to bring the value of initiatives such as ARC, maybe any others, but as a crucial point, as a strategy for research and innovation in Europe.
Okay, thank you very much. It was quite interesting, this discussion. Well, the next speaker comes from the Lisbon municipality. I want to stress that these sections were thinked for research institution. The session, the title of the session was Research and Strategies. But due to the increase importance of water-oriented living labs, we invited a non-research institution, and that is the Lisbon municipality. And Pedro Teixeira is the speaker. And he also is substituting the previous speaker, which is Catarina Freitas, which unfortunately yesterday had also an accident and now is ill. So, Pedro Teixeira, thank you very much for substituting Catarina Freitas, and he is an environmental engineer. He has a PhD on biology, and now he is a project coordinator of the Environment, Green Structure, Climate and Energy Unit of the Lisbon municipality. Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you, Joana. Thank you, LNEC, for the invitation on behalf of Catarina, who unfortunately couldn't make it. So I will give you a brief insight on the Lisbon Living Lab. Lisbon, we have a city of 100 square kilometers with over 500,000 of inhabitants, a population which doubles every day with the daily commuters. We also have a significant number of tourists every year, almost 8 million, and all of these factors imply a big pressure on the water use, on drinking water use, service, commerces, that we need to address. We also have 55,000 buildings, most of them private, most of them with more than 20 years, and a significant part of them with needs of refurbishment, which can be an opportunity to introduce new standards for water efficiency, for instance. We have almost 900 hectares of irrigated area, over 300,000 trees in forests, parks, and gardens, and over 60,000 lining trees. These represent a water consumption of 3 million of cubic meters every year of drinking water. So, in Lisbon, we account for 55 million cubic meters every year, all of the city. The municipality accounts for 4.4 million every year, and from this 4.4, the majority is for non-potable uses, namely for irrigation. So, but at the same time, we need to maintain and increase our green area. We can't afford to decrease this area. So we will have a larger area to irrigate. And also with several of the scenarios that we've been hearing in this conference, with the expected decrease of rain and the rise in temperature, we will also have an increase in the period of irrigation. And we are starting to notice this in the present days, because we are irrigating in the times when we usually did not have to. And this is with drinking water, most of it. So increasing our green areas. These were some recent calculations we've made for growing our areas, and by 2050 we will need more than 3 times the volume of water that we are currently using. So the point is, no matter how efficient we are and how smart we are in water use, we will always need more water in the future. So this water comes from Castelo de Bode, which is almost 100 kilometers away. We have a significant distance from our freshwater resources. This implies an energy spending to get this water to Lisbon. This is one of the challenges. Also, the reduction of freshwater resources, the growing population and economy based on services. We have watercourses and streams that are partially artificialized. And we want to increase, basically this is the big question, we want to increase the green infrastructure without compromising the blue one, which will have a bigger green will need a bigger blue. We also need to improve the recovery and reuse of alternative water sources for non-potable uses. We have several possibilities: reclaimed water, which we are using already, spring water, underground water, water mining. I will talk of this further on. So, the question, how can we grow green without compromising the blue nor the water energy nexus? This is where the Be Water Smart project, which Christina already presented partially, enters. The Be Water Smart project accelerates the transformation to water smart economies and societies. We do this through a systemic and integrated approach, which involves technology, tools, new business models, new governance models, new values of circular chain economy. And this is done in 6 living labs, Lisbon being one of them, Alicante, Venice, Flanders, East Frisia, and Bodo. So from Lisbon to Norway, we have living labs. And in each of these living labs, solutions are created and tested in pilots. So for the Lisbon Living Lab, our vision is to provide a high quality of life for an increasing population and growing economy while tackling climate change challenges, namely droughts and floods, based on a green-blue problem-solving infrastructure. Our partners, Lisbon is the owner of the Living Lab. It's the owner of the problem and the one who has to address the challenges. LNEC is the mentor of the Living Lab and coordinates all the co-creation work. Águas do Tejo Atlântico are a water managing entity. Lisboa Nova is an environment agency. Baseform, which is a software company. ADEN, which is an energy company, and the Instituto de Ciências Sociais of the University of Lisbon. These are our local partners. So, which actions are we taking? But we want to improve water supply demand management and the city's water energy phosphorus footprint while increasing green areas. We want to promote the climate-ready housing, which is water energy efficient and climate change-proof, and we want to promote safe urban water reuse. For this, we've developed a series of tools. This is an overall view of the tools. We have a group of tools. Does this have a pointer? No. So these 4 tools are somehow connected. We have a water energy phosphorus balance planning tool, which is a matchmaking tool, which we are using already in the Lisbon municipality, where we can plan the way, say, we want to irrigate a garden nearby, Camp Grande. We can see which water sources we have in this place, either reclaimed water, underground water, drinking water, and according to the cost of each one and the availability of each one, we can plan the most water smart way of irrigating this area. We have a tool for the reclaimed water model, reclaimed water quality model. We have a tool for risk assessment for urban water reuse, which can be divided into, sub-tools, one for public health and one for groundwater risk assessment. These 3 tools, these 3 tools give an input to a more broader tool, a more planning tool, which is the tool for environment for decision support and selection of alternative courses of action. We also have the Urban Water Cycle Observatory, which was developed by Lisboa Nova, and it's available. You can see it, which is a tool for informing about the water consumptions, either the big consumptions or the particular ones. It can also be a planning tool. We have the climate readiness certification, which is being developed by ADEN. And we also have another tool, which is being developed by LNEC and ADTA, which was developed, which is a protocol for potable water reuse in industry. Some of you already tasted the final product of this protocol yesterday when the Vira beer was served after the conference. So with these tools, we have expected impacts, which are the decrease in use of fresh water, we improve water use efficiency, to increase water reuse and nutrient recovery, and to reduce the water-related energy use. So this is our living lab in numbers. We have 7 partners, more than 40 people working in our teams, 20 pilots, 1 technological tool, 6 IT tools, 1 local community of practice, and 1 strategic agenda and a strategic plan. We also have an innovation alliance with the remaining living labs, and we have a tailored water smartness assessment framework. So these are some of we are working on the strategic agenda and the strategic plan. They have strategic objectives to ensure water for all, to safeguard the ecosystems and their services, to boost value creation around water, to promote adaptive change, and to involve citizens and actors of all sectors. So this is just to show you that the pilots are being tested all over the city. We have now more than 10 green areas, from Parque das Nações until Campo Grande nearby. We have several households and buildings where the certificates are being tested, and the protocol was developed in the Beirola's water factory. This is one of our community of practice meetings. We have this with some regularity. We've had 3 so far. We also have thematic groups, focus groups, for experts, not so wide, so general. This is moderated by the Instituto de Ciências Sociais, and it involves the co-creators, the followers, the replicas of the Lisbon metropolitan area, as well as the project partners. But we are also doing more than this, not only with the Be Water Smart project. Sorry. We have several measures that we apply for several years now, aiming to reduce the water consumption and to use water consumption in an efficient way. We have smart irrigation systems, we have monitoring systems, we are adapting the new green areas to dry land meadow so that we don't need as much water or almost no water. But this is all being done for several years now, and we want to focus on the identifying possible new sources of water. So to avoid what we are doing now, we take superficial water, we treat it, we store it, we transport it 100 kilometers, treat it some more, and then distribute it, and then we use it for gardening, for street cleaning. This has to change in a nearby future. So these are some of the potential sources that we have. We have the reclaimed water, which is a climate-independent source. We have over 60 million cubic meters per year as a potential resource. We have spring water, which is water that comes from our old aqueduct, Águas Livres aqueduct, which used to supply water to our city many years ago. It doesn't now, but the water still flows in this structure. We also use underground water, but the tendency it's not to use more, it's to use less, and we are exploring other alternatives like water mining or rainwater. But I will focus on the one that is more, that will possibly will be executed in the near future, which is a plan that we are doing with reclaimed water and with spring water. This is a symbiotic partnership between the Lisbon municipality and ADTA and EPAL. This is a group work. So. What you see in this map is the areas that will be irrigated with reclaimed water. Obviously, the ones close by the water factories. We have 3 water factories in Lisbon: Beirolas, Chelas, and Alcântara. And the blue areas are the areas which will be irrigated with the water from the aqueduct. So this was done so that we can use the water in the smartest way possible and with less energy possible. This is a considerable investment. As you can see, the kilometers of network that have to be built, the reservoirs and the drainage tunnels, this is over 50 million euros. So we are still deciding who does what, who pays what, who will treat the water, not who will, ADTA will, certeza, certainly, sorry. Who will distribute the water, who will sell the water, who will buy the water. This is all, we are still developing the business model, the governance model, because this has to be positive for all parties. But we are already using reclaimed water. We started the project pilot in 2021, I believe, in Parque das Nações, around the 30-hectare area. And this is still being irrigated with reclaimed water. More recently, in August, we had the visit from the Pope in the World Youth Day, and this site, this was an old landfill that was decommissioned in the 90s, and the whole area was rehabilitated to receive this visit from the Pope, and for over 1.5 million pilgrims. This area will have some changes, but hopefully we will continue to irrigate this area with reclaimed water. It will still be a park for sure. So this is where we are in the 2023, and that's where we want to be. We want to really boost the reclaimed water use. That's our target. I want to get into detail with the general master plan, which I believe it will be presented or was. But this will also give some improvement for our reclaimed water distribution. Our living lab started with the Be Water Smart project, and it evolved in a natural way, so that all of us want to give continuity to this. We want to continue the living lab beyond the project, and this will happen. We've been making many contacts since the beginning of the project, and the opportunity came for us to participate in this network of water-oriented living labs. And we will formalize this with our partners. We want to bring research institutions, universities, water utilities, public authorities, project partners, target users, the general public. This is a water-oriented lab, but it's not restricted to water. We want to make bridges with different projects, with the rescue project, because it's all connected. We want more green. More green will also have an effect on the air quality. So we want to connect everything, and we want this to remain for a long time. We're also involved in many other projects. We recently submitted the Lisbon City Climate Contract 2030, which aims for climate-neutral cities. And we included a water pillar on this contract, with several measures to help us to improve our smart water use. We've been involved in many projects. This is just an overall view and it's a chronological overview of the many projects that we've been involved in. We're always looking for new projects and new partners, so please feel free to contact us. We have many projects from mitigation to adaptation up 2030. It's another project that started this year, Lifelong, Connexus, Rescue. So these are some of them, but not all. These are some of the recent interventions that we had in Lisbon, in green areas, and that's it.
Thank you very much, Pedro. Questions, please? Please.
Thanks. I have a question regarding the functioning of your living lab. So you mentioned who are the kind of stakeholders or actors that are involved. Can you say a little bit how you are organized and the kind of let's say the governance of this living lab? I mean, what is the role of different actors and to give a little bit more detail on that?
Thank you for the question. Well, this is a very, the formalizing this is very, this was decided some weeks ago. It was very, very recent. So we are still trying to organize the structure so that we can, it will be coordinated, but it will probably have a core, a permanent core, and maybe some different partners can join for different projects.
Thank you. Another question, please?
Good morning. I'm going to make a question as a private user, a consumer of water, so not as a scientist or engineer or whatever.
Lorenz, I think the micro is not connected.
It is, but maybe not
Yeah,
loud
okay.
enough. Better now?
Yeah, better now.
Thank you. So asking a question as a consumer, private consumer, what's the role of the municipality of Lisbon in the consumption of private users? For instance, nowadays, it's not good yet, the sound? Ah.
Yeah, I'm just saying that Lisbon municipality doesn't have a direct thing because it's EPAL. So I was just saying it's not.
Exactly, that's why I'm asking the question. Because for me, I think it's perfectly possible with the technology that I have. I receive like a notification in my cell phone that maybe my baths are getting too long, or maybe I'm spending too much water this month or next month. And this is completely, I think it's easy to implement. But my idea is that the monitoring of the water use is still analogical, and the technology is not maybe available yet, and there's not maybe motivation enough for the companies that sell water, because maybe they won't sell more. So that's the question. As maybe a regulator that the municipality may have that role, what could you do, or what could people do to promote the better use in private consumption? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Well, we are not regulators, and we do not sell the water. EPAL sells the water, but they also have a big environmental compromise, and they don't want us to spend more water. They already have what you were saying. They have a water beep service, which you can monitor your consumption at home, and with a 15-minute, I believe, frequency. So you can see what you spend in a day, in a month, and the evolution of it. So that is available. As far as the municipality, well, we have the climate readiness certificates, which give some standards on including water efficiency, but it's maybe different from what you were asking.
If I may complement, Lorenzo, so EPAL has this service, is an on-demand service, so not every customer has, but if anybody wants to have this service, it's possible to have it. It's an on-demand service. So it's not a technological issue. So here you go into other problems such as the privacy and this type of thing. So the consumers need to wish to have this service. And of course, when we look at these problems at a holistic way, it's important to put everything on the table. So it's really not camera, CML as such. So we have many players here in town, and it's important when we address these problems to see them in a more integrated way. But having said that, it's very important that we start with, at least this is my view, with steady steps. So we have many potential players, even when we think in the metropolitan area of Lisbon. But we have started with a limited number of stakeholders in Be Water Smart. So let's start working with that, and then step by step, making it a sound establishment, and so that we put in place in a good governance model, because now the governance model is the governance models of Be Water Smart. And so it's easy because we have very sound, very concrete objectives, and so everybody knows what they have to do. So now we have to build on that and to build a governance model that works, and let's go step by step in a steady way. It's better to have small steps in the right directions than trying to have everybody on board overnight and not doing anything. So that's at least this is my view of it.
Thank you. Please.
João Paulo, então, EAVAC, Switzerland. Quick question. Your presentation was focused on water supply, different sources. Could you tell us a little bit more about the part on the demand? What are the new species of trees that you can think of planting for the future? And by doing that, dealing with the demand? Have you thought about it? Is it part of the project? Is it part of the Living Lab for the future?
Thank you for the question. It's not part of the Living Lab, it's part of the municipal strategy. I can't say what the species are, but I'm sure, no. Yes.
And it's not part of the future, it's part of the present already, because the municipality has been doing a lot on that, on choosing the right species and replacing in order to not to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's part of the future, but it's also part of the
Please. One of the solutions is water energy phosphorus balance is demand driven. So it's a matchmaking solution, a software, where we look at demands, gardens or wherever in the city, and look at all of the available water sources, reclaimed water, groundwater, and the decision is made, driven by the consumption. Okay? It's very
Thank you. Another question? No? Oh, yes, yes. Please.
Thank you so much. My name is Mohammed. I am from Egypt. I'm a previous researcher in IST. Now I am starting my first steps in the water sector. My question is, does the municipality of Lisbon, or what is the strategy for the funding? Imagine if I have a pilot to achieve your goals for the reclaimed water. So what about the funding?
Thank you for the question. Well, that is the main bottleneck. Sorry. We are still defining who pays what. The network has to be built, the system has to be managed, operated, the water has to be treated, so we are still defining, and someone has to sell the water. I don't know if it will be one of the three entities. That's what we're still defining, to decide who pays.
Sorry. If I have my project or my pilot, so to whom I should go to speak about this and just to find a solution or a fund in the municipality or here in the water sector in general in Portugal?
Well, Can you?
So your question, I'm afraid your question was not fully clear. So if someone outside the municipality wants to address, or if a municipality, we didn't fully understand.
Just my question is, imagine that now if I have a pilot or I have a technology or I have a solution and I don't have the fund for this, so to whom I should direct to speak about the funding? Find a fund to my idea, my pilot.
Yeah, so we don't have free money. I mean, you need to, when you want to put on a technology or a solution or whatever, so it's fundamental that at the same time you design a business model that allows to put it in place. And in the case of Lisbon, and it's important in any case when we are talking about innovation, is that we don't just focus on the technological solution without addressing at the same time the business models, the legal framework, the regulation. So this has to be addressed all together. And this is one of the things that, for instance, in Be Water Smart is being addressed, is looking at the different points of view and not assume that money will come from somewhere. It's not easy, as Pedro was saying, so they are still struggling with some bottlenecks. But this, of course, something that's very, very important to address at the same time.
Okay, thank you. And a final question, please. Where is the...
Just a reminder, just to add on the business model for the water we use in Lisbon. So Pedro was right. We do not still, it's not very clear who will be managing the water, the reclaimed water distribution network. But Lisbon has some money to do this, even pocket money, because they are paying a PAL those millions of drinking water per year. So provided the reclaimed water is cheaper than that drinking water, we have the difference to build, to operate, to manage and to monitor the reclaimed water. The thing is that it's not only a matter of business, so of economic feasibility. In addition to that, we need to have more users, so to have a more continuous consumption for us to be able to manage the water quality within the network. So it's a kind of a business model with two objectives. We have to keep the water quality, and we need to have more users, so to help paying the investment and maintaining the investment. But you have the millions that you pay for EPA.
Yeah, and also a matter of rationale. So you have a potential user in one place. There is a reclaimed water pipe just going close by. It does make sense. It would make sense to have another pipe. So so everything needs to be really addressed in an integrated way. So.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pedro. Now, our next speaker is Helena Alegre, which is the chair of this conference. She is a coordinator research at LNEC.
I don't think by this time you need to tell everybody's fed up of me. I don't think.
I write this.
I don't think you need to.
Okay, so
anyway,
please.
thank you, Joanna. But okay. I think we'd better go ahead. So let's now focus on LNEC's strategies on floods, water scarcity, and the extreme events. So a little bit about LNEC. Most of you already know a bit of LNEC, but anyway, LNEC stands for the National Civil Engineering Laboratory. We were founded in 1946 after the Second World War, as many other similar laboratories in Europe. We are a public R&D institution. We have a 22 hectares campus, as you know, as where you are now. We are a unique multidisciplinary perspective in civil engineering. You already understood that we really want to work with different competencies and not only civil engineering, but being here with many different types of expertise, it's easier for us when we have a problem really to work together and to go and call a colleague and say from geotechnics, from materials, from whatever, and work together in different competencies to address a given problem. So we are a research and development and innovation organization, very much addressing best practices and unbiased and independent advisory board. We are often called by the government or by different stakeholders in a society to serve as an independent and unbiased advisory board. We have here more than 30 testing laboratories, from seisms to water quality laboratories to concrete testing, many different types of laboratories, and we have more or less 500 permanent staff here. So the hydraulics department we are celebrating now, is the main department who deals water and environmental at LNEC, although as we collaborate with the others, so there are others already addressing this topic, but we are the department that mainly addresses the water and environmental related issues. We are one of several departments. We have the buildings, structures, transportation, materials, concrete dams, and geotechnics. So within the hydraulics and environmental department, we cover the whole water cycle, both in natural terms, rivers, transitional waters, coastal waters, and the urban water cycle as well. We address both quantity and quality aspects, including the ecological systems. We address the uses in human activities, as well as the relationship, the interactions between the water and the infrastructures, the water infrastructures that allows to have the functions. Natural or nature-based solutions or more gray infrastructures. So looking at the climate and floods and extreme events related issues, so we address topics such as water for climate, resilience and environment, source to sea, biodiversity, not so much, but climate adaptation, resilience, disaster risk reduction. We are organized into 5 sectors, so the Estuaries and Coastal Zone Unit, Ports and Maritime Structures Unit, Urban Water Unit, Water Resources and Hydraulic Structures, and Information Technology in Water and Environmental Research Group. We are 93 collaborators today, so 76 being permanent staff. So out of the total, we have 45 people with a PhD, 18 master or PhD students. We are not a university, we are a research laboratory, but we host here and co-supervise many students here. And we have a gender balance of 49 female to 44 males, which is something that called the attention at least of some of our participants. And as you know very well, we are celebrating this year our 75th anniversary. So the focus here is, in this case today, I'm going to focus on the work and the activity and the strategies more directly related to floods, water scarcity, and the extreme events. So when we talk about water systems, and we are talking about many different water systems, so maybe coastal, natural, built, urban water, whatever, whatever the water system we're talking about refers, basically we expect that this system provides good quality service to all, for all, at all times. We want these systems to deliver an efficient and effective and a sustainable management. We want to become more reliable, more flexible, more resilient, safer, and look at low impact solutions, at least low negative impact solutions. But we face pressures, we need to work within existing frameworks, and we have some axes of action. So looking at the pressures, for instance, we have democratic pressures, emerging contaminants, climate change, resource scarcity. These are just examples of pressures we need to deal with. In terms of the frameworks, again, just examples, we have the Sustainable Development Goals, we have the Green Deal, we have the human rights to water and sanitation, we have all the regulations, the EU directives, for instance. And in terms of axes of action, we have artificial intelligence, information management, circular economy, economic efficiency, social engagement, water, energy, food nexus, water reuse. So these are, again, just examples of aspects that we need to take into account. Nature-based solutions, governance, technology, education, training, capacity building. So we have a very broad variety of axes that we may address and we are addressing here at LNEC. So we have research programs until 2027, and we are organized into currently in 5 research main streams, main research programs. These 5 research programs are management, protection and restoration of coastal systems, water in the city, looking at the transition to the urban water services of tomorrow. We have water resources and sustainable development. We have risk and safety in ports and maritime structures, and we have digital research services in water and environmental domains. Now, looking more specifically in each one of the topics of the conference, and starting with the floods. So what we built was looking at the physically, starting, well, the uses of the urban water, then the water resources and hydraulic structures, so the inland waters, now looking at the coasts, estuaries and coastal zones, and more specifically then at the ports and maritime structures, knowing that, for instance, the IT-related appears everywhere in here. So we tried to build these metrics looking at the main, of course, this is not exhaustive, this is just the main hazards and challenges, the main research and development topics that are relevant for us, and the approaches and solutions that we are either already addressing or are planning to address within the strategic plan I have just mentioned to you. So, starting with the urban water, in terms of hazards, we address people, assets, and economy that are at risks. At research topics, important ones are integrated water management, nature-based solutions, numerical modeling, and in terms of approaches and solutions, so we really want to achieve a smarter monitoring, really putting intelligence on the way we do monitoring, well, the production of nature-based solutions, inflow and infiltration control, infrastructure asset management. If we go to water resources and hydraulic structures, in terms of hazards and challenge, we have the river flooding, looking at the people, property, economy, and environmental at risk. In terms of topics, we have to address the climate change impacts, particularly in terms of hydrological and hydraulic modeling and the flood propagation issues, and again, nature-based solutions. So you see that nature-based solutions is something that is a kind of repeated, although we are talking about different nature-based solutions in the different cases. And in terms of approaches and solutions, our highlights go to warning systems, again, nature-based solutions, and flood directive support. So we know that this is a very important aspect that is on the table, this flood directive support. So in terms of estuaries and coastal zones, hazards and challenges, we'd highlight the estuarine and coastal floods, again looking at the people, assets, and economy that are at risk. In terms of the topics, our highlights go to estuarine and coastal modeling, multi-source flood risk analysis, remote sensing services. And in terms of approaches or solutions, we highlight flood forecasting and early warning, flood hazard and risk maps, and again, nature-based solutions. Just a parenthesis, when I ask for my colleagues to give their inputs, I limited as a threshold that they had a maximum of 3 items or 4 lines. So they had to choose. And so you see just this because it was a dictator mandate saying no more than 4 lines, no more than 3 items. So this is why you don't see more than 3 items here. So going to the ports and the maritime structures, So we have, again, in terms of the ports, areas, flooding. This is also a potential, this is also an issue. So we need to look at the people, at the goods, and at the ships that are at the ports and close by the maritime structures that may be at risk. We need to look at the operational downtimes and the maritime structures themselves, the structures themselves that are at risk when there is an extreme event. In terms of topics, we look at overtopping, flooding, and inundation risk associated with maritime structures, and we have the impact on navigation, the moored ships. In terms of approaches and solutions, we have the risk assessment, early warning systems, inspection and monitoring, and the hybrid solutions. Looking now at the water scarcity and with the same logics, we would highlight within the urban water the non-potable uses that are at risk and the decreased water quality. When we face water scarcity situations, we really need to face problems in terms of water quality that we need to address. In terms of the topics, water reuse is a key one. In terms of the reclamation technologies, in terms of the risk management, and in terms of circular economy. And in terms of approaches and solutions, one thing that we consider to be of crucial importance and increasing importance in the future is the tailored treatment. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It's really to understand what, given the specific context, what type of treatment is more appropriate. Also looking at software tools for smart operation and monitoring and policy and regulation instruments. When we move to the water resources and hydraulic structures, we have the water scarcity. We need to assure water for people, stock, sectorial activities. And to address that, our research and development topics identified are climate change impacts, risk management, drought resilience increase, and NBS. And the approaches and solutions, the NBS is again, the water resources governance, which is a very important part of the activity of this unit, the drought plans, and the sectorial adaptation. In terms of now moving to the estuaries and the coastal zones, we have decreased water quality, salinity intrusion. In terms of the topics, we have water quality modeling and monitoring. We have all the issues of water security. And approaches and solutions, we have the remote sensing for leak detection. As an example, web-based water quality observatories are another example of approaches and solutions. Ports and maritime structures, we have the pressures on marine ecosystems. We have the increased demand for food and energy from sea. We have the loss of territory in coastal areas, as Andrea very well called the attention this morning. In terms of topics, we have developed better desalination methods, exploring new renewable energy sources to power desalination plants, and in terms of approaches and solutions, planning strategies using existing coastal structures and sustainable desalination technologies and aquaculture that is also an increasing aspect of for economy. Moving to the extreme events, urban water, the flash floods, major system failures that we need to address in urban areas. Heat waves are examples of hazards that we need to address when we're talking about extreme events in urban areas. So urban planning and cascading resilience is perhaps the most important aspect in terms of topics we need to address in this context. And I would highlight the resilience assessment framework that the department has been working at for some time now. And again, the NBS is as an instrument, as a solution to address these extreme events. In terms of the water resources and hydraulic structures, dam break floods, debris flow floods, again, people, assets, and economy at risk. We disregard some topics for research and development, advanced numerical modeling, which is an area that is really gaining memento in this area. Physical modeling calibration. So this hybrid, this combination between the numerical and physical modeling is something that is increasing in importance, and the water and sediment modeling as well. In terms of approaches and solutions, real-time flow prediction, warning system, and check dams. Estuaries and coastal zones, so coastal erosion, destruction of coastal infrastructure are key assets and challenges. In terms of topics, coastal and shoreline modeling, resilience in a changing climate. And as solutions and approaches, hazard and risk maps, hybrid non-structural approaches, so the combination between gray solutions and infrastructural solutions and non-structural approaches as well, and restoration of sediment budgets. The last one, ports and maritime structures. We are going to have more frequent and severe storms. So these may lead to maritime structure and service failure, increase in operational downtowns, ships and navigation safety. And to address that, we need to better study wave structure interactions, ship structure behavior, early warning systems, and risk analysis. And here, numeric and physical modeling, probabilistic analysis, adaptation measures, early warning systems, maritime structures inspection. Sorry, I know that this was heavy, this was long. This presentation will be made available, so you'll have the opportunity to see it in more detail if you so decide. But what I'd like to address is that here at LNEC and at our department, we go from the fundamental research to applied research to innovation and to rollout. We try to cover all the stages of this research and innovation cycle. And to address the fundamental research, mainly we have research that is developed in the scope of PhD theses and National Research Foundation projects, not exclusively. I'm just highlighting the most important types of mechanisms we use to address this more fundamental research. We have the European projects, from the missions to the research and innovation actions, the more demonstration, to cover all the applied innovation and rollout stages. The national projects such as Fundo Ambiental, Fundo Azul, and also the national initiatives that are innovation alliances organized by LNEC, promoted by LNEC, that also help covering all these applied research, innovation, and rollout. If we go to the more innovation and rollout stages, we are members, we are active members in advisory boards, in associations, in standardization committees, in order to ensure that this cycle makes sense, and we try and influence what is being made in terms of policies, in terms of standardization, so that everything becomes coherent. We are members of many partnerships with consultants and technology providers, and we are also providing training and capacity building to the utilities, or to the service providers, or to the infrastructure managers as a whole. And of course, this is a cycle. So learning from the practice, we go to understand what are the priorities in terms of fundamental research, and we are obliged to have our foot on the ground all the time. Dreaming, so we stretch. We dream, but we need to keep our feet on the ground. So it's a good for the body, it's a stretching exercise. So just some examples of research projects. So in terms of European projects, so these are recent or ongoing projects of the different types I mentioned, from the missions to the demonstration ones. Examples of National Research Foundation projects, again. Examples of the national initiatives, these collaborative, these innovation alliances I mentioned. Examples of other national funded projects that we already have or are currently ongoing. For more information on this project, so we had this video, we prepared this video with the different projects that is playing on the hall. So if you haven't the opportunity to see it yet, you still can see this video with the different, at least some flag projects that you have, and you already saw and can see again the video on our activity. So this is all for now, and of course I'm open to questions or comments.
Okay. Thank you very much. Please, questions?
So you were flattered.
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
Or I start a question. As we all know, the funding is not easy to get. So, what do you think in the next 5 years or 10 years would be good strategic, a good way or investment that we at LNEC should do? 5 years or 10 years, what should be our main strategy or our main investment?
Yeah, I don't see a major shift in terms of the strategy we are having now, because I think we are succeeding in having a good balance between the different types of financial opportunities that we have. I think we need to continue investing in European projects, but while doing that, we need to try and influence also the Commission and to be part of projects as Water for All or building recommendations, being in the forum that are really where the decisions are made in terms of the strategies, in order to convey what we feel from the ground. As I think we are at LNEC at a privileged position of being really covering a very broad span of activity. So from the user, the working hands-on with the users, until the higher level policymakers. So, but this gives us an idea of what's going on. And so we need to influence each other. We need to really have a role in terms of transmitting and promoting this cross-cutting. So we need to continue to work in influencing the decision-making at the European level, investing in European projects, but at the national level, again, we need to work with the different policymakers and then work with the different players, with different stakeholders, partnering with them. So we have just seen the example here today, we have seen yesterday and even this morning, earlier in the morning, collaborations with other stakeholders. But for instance, in the case of, we have just seen in the case of the water-oriented living lab, we are working together to helping, I don't know whether we want to help the municipality or if we want to help ourselves or the country or whatever. We believe that this is the way to go. We need to work together. And one thing that I keep repeating is that researchers do not work for the practitioners. So we are not the clever ones that know the thing. Somebody yesterday mentioned that we cannot pretend that we are the owners of the truth. Of course we are not the owners of the truth. We have our competencies, others have other competencies, and we need to work together. We need to learn from each other. So I love the national initiatives because of that, because we are all the time brought to the earth and not allowed to fly. So we need to dream far, but we need to stretch, not to fly. And I love when somebody comes to me or to us and say, yeah, this is very nice, it's a very nice idea, I'd like to put it in place, but how? In my case that I have this, and said, oh, I hadn't thought of that. We need to think together how to do that. And I think this is the way to go. And if we are really convinced of the topics we are working, and we are really engaged in solving the problems, the funds will come. If we communicate, if we are addressing the right problems at the right time with the right stakeholders, the fund will come. I'm not so worried about the funds. I'm more worried about really making sure that we are addressing the right issues with the right stakeholders at the right timing with the right approaches.
Thank you. Another question, please? No? Well,
but may I challenge, for instance, we are here with other, may I ask, for instance, yeah, what do you think? How would you respond to, well, in Switzerland you have a lot of money, you don't have this issue of like...
Where is the microphone?
Okay, so this is a kind of a quick challenge. Probably regarding the funding, your basic statement would probably also hold for Switzerland. So if you try to address the problems that are perceived also in society as highly relevant, then funds might get available and other things might drop off the table. And then, of course, there's the issue, okay, if whether or not society and the political system is really always setting the right priorities. But we see, I mean, in Switzerland, yes, we are a rich country, I agree, but still funding is also limited. So also the ETH domain has budget cuts, and there is in politics a shift towards, okay, we need to produce more energy. So, and we need to go to renewables, which is per se very nice. But at the same time, we feel the pressure, for example, everything that is where we have trade-offs with biodiversity, and we have them, if you think about hydropower generation, we have many of them. So there's a shift in what is valued more. And also a shift in how much time is given to bring to the table the scientific results for good policy making. So we feel this tension, and this kind of political tension does not disappear if you are a little bit richer than others. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comment? No? So we reach the final. Thank you very much to the speakers and for their wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you, the audience, for participating and for these fruitful discussions. And it's the final for now. We are coming back at...
May I add? So we are coming back at 3 for the sessions. But I would recall that we're going to have the technical visits. So for those of you who registered for the technical visits, don't forget to be here at the lobby, here at the lobby close by the registration LEC, desk at 2, and then you'll be guided.
Okay.
So the technical sessions are going to restart at 3 p.m.
Okay, thank you very much to all. Pronto.